Welcome to Fireside Fitness and Nutrition with Adrienne and Ken. Episode 1, What Nutrition Combined with Personal Training Can Do for You.
That's exactly right. And that's the difference. That's like the difference between what I do and what a personal trainer does. So a personal trainer just, takes you and says, no matter what your issues are, it's basically they have the same routine typically for everyone. It just depends, and they change the weight depending on if you're a man or a woman, or how if you haven't exercised for a long time, or if you have. But what I do is take someone has issues and work around that, not only strengthen the issues that they need strengthened, but kind of go for what they want to achieve as well at the same time. So.
And it's been extremely helpful, even for me, just to know that my upper back can be addressed. And, when I'm starting to feel it tighten up or something, I have tools instead of just I'll take an ibuprofen and hope that I feel better tomorrow, So
Right.
It's a great tool to have. And I feel like it is definitely the perfect augment to nutrition. So we talked about what a nutritionist and what personal trainer versus exercise physiologist can do for you. So we already kind of started with that. Do you want to share more about what a personal trainer does versus what an exercise physiologist does, or the type of training, or where do you want to begin?
So I wanted to go with the benefits of, why would you want what a personal trainer can do, and why you should get one. Mm-hmm. Why, what's the purpose of it? What can they help you with? And it was interesting because as I was going over and saying, okay, this is what I want to answer. Some of the things came up with, they'll teach you, a personal trainer particularly can show you or tell you what the muscles do, teach you about your body. And for instance, did you know that there are no pushing muscles? Now, I know that because say for instance, when I first heard that, I was in high school. I was going, no, there's pushing muscles. I push, like I push against the wall, or I do push-ups. There's pushing muscles. There's no pushing muscles. Muscles always pull. It's just how it's located around the joint. So there's different types of joints, and when you push something, say for instance, I'm pushing. Well, the tricep is engaging. It's actually pulling, and it's pulling the arm in the extension. The opposite of that would be, and then when the bicep pulls, which is on the front right here, it contracts, it pulls, and the tricep lets go. So there's always a joint around every joint. There's an agonist and an antagonist. There's two muscles that offset each other that go in different directions. And sometimes joints, if they're the shoulder joint, which goes all around, there's several muscles that go in different ways. But at least like on a hinge joint, like on the knee, there are muscles that extend the knee and the muscles that flex the knee. So that's I thought that was kind of cool, that there's no pushing muscles. That can't be true. But it goes, yes, that is true. So that's one thing. But now let's see, tell me what your thoughts are as far as why would someone want a dietitian, and when they can say, hey, I can go on Google and search out things and find my own way. And when I talk to my clients, or when I talk to people, they say, I know what to do. I just have to do it. Yeah. I just have to do it. So how would you respond to that?
Yeah. And I want to comment on what you said first. I did have to think about the pushing muscles thing. I was like, oh, wait, it is contraction versus extension. So that's really what you do. But as I wrote in a recent blog, for those of you who've seen that, it was Confessions of a Dietitian. I talked about how I was drinking vitamin water, which was full of sugar, while I was studying anatomy. So you don't want to come to me for anatomy. You want to go to Ken. He knows what he's talking about. I can't remember the trapezius and how the first toe is innervated at the C5, whatever. I don't remember any of that. Right. But to answer your question, you can spend all day on Google and you will get conflicting information. All right, it's good for me or bad for me. You're going to find evidence for both. Is caffeine okay or is it not okay? And really, it just needs to be personalized. It's like what Ken said earlier. If there's a personal trainer, they tend to just give the same exercise to everyone without taking into account what needs to be personalized for somebody with a shoulder injury or a knee injury and things like that. And then the other part is, so you can spend a ton of time in confusion and therefore not make any of the changes and be overwhelmed at the same time of all this information. How would I even what am I going to eat for breakfast? I don't even know.
And then you do nothing. And then you eat whatever's available, and it could be bad. Most of the time.
I must say too that most of my clients are very intelligent people. they know what they should be doing. They're just not doing it. So there's a disconnect between like all of this knowledge and the actual action, the daily action of making different breakfasts or lunches or dinners, or just changing things in their lifestyle that they know needs to be done. So where I serve as I'm the bridge between the two, and I help people actually make the changes that they've just been talking about or dreaming about for, I don't know, months or weeks, years.
Years sometimes. Yeah, sometimes years. Okay, good. So and it's all personalized. It's all, so because what could be right for someone may not be quite right for someone else. Although you'd be going along the same path, you might be slightly different.
Oh, for sure. And everything is kind of pieces of a puzzle. And sometimes people, let's just take something that came up recently. Somebody with weight loss issues or a desire to lose weight or take care of their PMS or see if their migraines are triggered by certain foods. We're still going to go through and be like, let's take a look at your sleep, plug that in, make sure that that's okay. What's your stress level like? Okay, these are the high fiber foods that will help with your weight loss, but we're not trying to do everything all at once, like no more sugar, this, and like a whole list, laundry list that people won't even know how to implement. Plus, all of these things play together. So even if we're talking about hormones, they are attached to your sleep and your stress, and all of this plays a huge role. So we can't just talk about food and ignore the lifestyle piece either. Mm-hmm. So it has to be a combination of the two. And I don't think most people really think about that. They're just like, oh, I need to cut calories, or I'm going to take an ibuprofen to deal with my PMS, or I need to take a medication for my IBS. That's not necessarily true. We just got to figure out, how do we put your puzzle pieces together so that you see the whole thing come to fruition.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. I mean,
that's similar to what you do too, where it's like,
yeah,
let's work on this piece. And
that's exactly correct. Yeah. So for instance, somebody has a bad knee, or their, the knee hurts them for some reason, but they don't know why. Well, typically the knee is not the problem. It's a simple hinge joint. It's what's below. The problem is usually what's below or above. It's usually in the ankle or it's in the hip. And that's where I can come up with, okay, during the evaluation, say, okay, this is what's wrong. Let's address that. And that usually has your knee pain go away. But nobody would know that. They'd just be working on their knee. They'd just keep going, knee extension, knee curls, some squats, but wouldn't necessarily solve the problem. So
that's interesting. Below or above?
Below or above. Yeah, it's hardly ever the knee. The knee just does this. It's a very simple joint. But
like an IT band. Could that affect the knee though?
Definitely. Okay. That's in the hip.
But that is above. And I've also heard for people with knee pain, sometimes it's working on the quads. And I was like, oh, there you go. Like, that's just what you said. You got to work on strengthening that sometimes in order to have better knees.
Sometimes you do. That is true. Yeah. Well, definitely stronger muscles is helpful. But if there is something wrong with the hip, strengthening the quads will make the quads stronger, but it might not make the knee pain go away. So what you want to do is you want to solve the pain before you strengthen things that you think are wrong, when that might not necessarily be the case. So you want to address what's wrong kind of at the same time you're strengthening, but you want to do that kind of first. So you want to address the issues first so you can activate those muscles. So that let me give you an example. Like you were saying, stretching the quadriceps. Sometimes there's a quadricep tightness, especially in the rectus femoris, which is the longest muscle in the body, goes from the knee all the way up over the hip. If you were to roll that out or to release it, it's easier on the knee joint. And you can then do, say for instance, if you do squats and your knees kind of hurt, if you were to think, well, maybe my quadriceps are tight, maybe my rectus, maybe the front part of my tight. And I've heard that foam rolling is good for you. Mm-hmm. You can foam roll, and that will release the muscle, make it longer, and doesn't allow the pain will go away because it's now tracking correctly. It's not tracking correctly, but you wouldn't know that, beforehand. So
I like that. You gotta, instead of no pain, no gain, it's find the pain to get the gain.
Right? That is a very good way to approach it. That's a very good saying. I like that. We need to trademark that.
I know. Trademark. Just happened right now, everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, everybody, you didn't hear that. So it's like, yes, you want to address the pain, and then making sure that the things that you do, afterwards. Typically, if it's in the hip, I can have you do something to activate it, get that muscle activated, and then the knee, the things that you do for the knee don't hurt or hurt less as you're doing them. And so that's where I come in. So
I think that's such an important point, though, because so many people are going, in the next 4 months, it's going to be like New Year's resolutions and all of that. And they're going to just try to hit the gym hard, overdo things. And if they still have issues within their body, it's going to probably make things worse, right? Rather than correcting it and then doing the balanced activity.
Yes, that is correct. And most people comes to New Year's Eve and they say, yes, I'm going to hit this, and they hit it too hard, and it lasts on average about 6 weeks, and then they go, oh, I'm done for the year.
Oh yeah.
Because number one, they get bored, they don't know what to do, they're not seeing results, or they're too much in pain. So all those things combined with, I don't really like doing this, I don't really know what I'm doing, and or I'm doing what I did when I was in high school football. And that doesn't work for a 50 or 60-year-old anymore.
I would say it's the same thing for nutrition. Other than the pain part, it's more of an emotional pain of giving up their foods for like 6 weeks that they love. But everything else is the same. It's like, I'm not seeing results fast enough, or just not doing it correctly, or standing in confusion. We should definitely do a whole episode on, New Year's resolutions and what to do.
We should.
We should type that up. But in the meantime, should we talk about what is the difference between an exercise physiologist? What is the training for an exercise physiologist versus maybe a 2-day training for a personal trainer? I know you like to use the terms interchangeably, but just knowing that you are different than your run-of-the-mill 2-day seminar kind of,
Sure.
trainer.
Sure. So a personal trainer would take an individual and say, they would say, okay, I want to be stronger. I want to, what are your goals? Ask or sometimes they wouldn't ask. Sometimes personal trainers don't do that. I've seen a lot of personal trainers. I've been at this for over 30 years. And some personal trainers have a set routine that they put everybody on, no matter what if they're a man or a woman, or if they want to lose weight, or if they want to gain muscle, they just put them on the same thing. And disregarding what kind of injuries they have, what kind of life how life has treated them, and they just go forward with a set program. And as opposed to what I do is I evaluate people and find out what the issues are and then program around that. Now, as far as what the difference in training goes, American College of Sports Medicine has a program that is an exercise physiologist program. And I've taken that, and that's kind of guided me as far as where I am. Along with the Brookbush Institute is phenomenal in guiding a exercise physiologist, or a person who wants to learn about how muscles work, and if this is wrong, if they display this symptom, it's more than likely this. And then it's kind of like I like to liken it to like peeling an onion. And okay, here's an issue. Well, let's peel it back. Now, is that the answer? Well, maybe not. Let's peel it back again. And then that's not the answer. Let's peel it back until you get to the final core of the problem, and then you can address that and go forward. So that's kind of how I kind of address it, or kind of compare it to personal trainer who's just, to be a personal trainer, you can take a course, 2-day course or a 3-day course, and be a certified personal trainer, and not really know anything about the anatomy more than someone who's just on the street. Now, and someone, this is what also I've noticed, is someone, in order to be good at this business, you have to be a teacher.
Yeah.
You have to love to teach other people. You have to love what you do, which is important. And you got to be able to communicate ideas that in a way that they can understand. My daughter's going to college right now, and she's having problems with an individual, a TA, in that they're not explaining they're not explaining themselves correctly. And I believe if you understand the subject matter inside and out, you can explain it to anyone. If someone can't understand you, you're not explaining it well enough to them. It's not their problem. It's your problem. You're not explaining yourself, or you don't know it well enough to explain it to that person. So an exercise physiologist knows the ins and outs of the whole body, how the muscles work, and is able to do the thing. And that's it. That's all I can. I'm done with that subject.
Well, it sounds like the heart of a teacher paired with the immense knowledge that an exercise physiologist would get compared to, again, like a 2-day seminar kind of person, would lead into communicating better with clients or doctors or whoever they're communicating with in order to get the results. And it's very much, I would say, the same thing with nutrition, especially if you like working with an RD, somebody who's had basically medical training for 4+ years, they've dedicated their life to this, versus somebody who does a weekend program to become a health coach, let's say. It's totally different. They can't do any sort of medical nutrition therapy compared to what the RD can do. But everything you just said, generally somebody who's going to be in a program for 5+ years loves nutrition. So they put their time into it. They usually walk their talk, not everybody. They love what they do. And if they're really good at this, and they should be, but I've seen it really particularly displayed in one of the mentors that I had. She was able to talk about diabetes with all the lingo that the doctors needed to, that they understood and everything, but also could break down the information to talk to somebody who had no idea what diabetes was. And
so the layperson can understand it.
Exactly. And that just speaks to what you said. If you're a true subject matter expert, you find different ways of like describing it like a car or a key in a lock or whatever the case is, so that a person can understand, rather than just acting like you're in an ivory tower and dropping missives about what people should do.
Right. Yeah, there's always going to be a reason why someone should do something, and most people, they don't understand why they're doing something in the first place. As a client, you say, well, why am I doing this chest press? When a personal trainer would just say, just do it. Just do it. It's going to help strengthen strengthen your upper body. And, but why are they doing it? And what's the advantage of it? So anyway, so there you go.
I like what you said too about it being personalized based on the person's injuries or recovery or just what's happened in their life. And the same thing has to apply to nutrition. Otherwise, there are some RDs out there who will just be like, here's what you need to eat for breakfast, eggs and da-da-da-da-da. And some personal trainers do this too. They shouldn't be, but they are. And then
True.
We're completely ignoring the fact that somebody could be allergic to dairy. And we're like, there's your cup of milk no, like you need to change things out. If somebody's allergic to eggs, you got to find another protein rich source. You got to be able to help tailor it. Otherwise, it's like wearing a giant suit that hasn't been tailored. It's not going to fit well. And they're not going to be wearing it for very long,
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So when you do stuff, would you consider the things that you do a lifestyle? I mean, can they do this for forever? Correct. It's not like, because diets don't work, right?
I would agree with that for sure. Yes. And if it becomes let me back up a little bit. So the word diet comes from the Greek word dieta, which meant lifestyle. It never meant this 14-day juice cleanse or 30-day whatever. It was always meant to be just part of your life, to where you don't even think about it. It's just ingrained, like kind of like with exercise for certain people. It's like, this is just my habit. I don't think about it. Same thing with nutrition. And my goal is to have every client sit down to their individualized plate and say, all of this is good for me. It's going to address my PMS, my weight gain, my whatever. And to be confident in that and know that they can just do this and not be drinking a shake or having a special little bar or whatever to address their problems.
Right. And it'll last, and it's easy enough for them, or I should say not too hard for them to do for the rest of their life.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what you want. You want it to be stickable. You want them, because diets don't work, because you go off of it and you gain the weight back that you lost, plus typically a little bit more, the yo-yo dieting effect. We don't want that. And so you are, okay, I can design something that is for you, that you can stick with, that I know that you can stick with, and you just do a little bit of stick with it, stick to it, but you can do it. And it's not Not going to be, I can't, like, you know, the milkshake diet or the whatever, whatever crazy diet schemes are out there. That's not like this. This is something that you can do forever.
Yeah, I would say the foundation part is key. And of course, you know, our needs change as we get to be 60 versus 20, or if we're exercising more, running marathons. Yeah, we'll tweak the diet, but like the general foundation is always going to be there for you. And I want it to be sustainable, but I also want it to be an empowerment program. I don't want people to come and need me for, you know, every week for the rest of their lives. So I'd rather train them and like let them fly, test out their wings, come back if they need help, but just like know that they can do this and they don't need to see somebody, you know, all the time. There are dependency programs out there. We've discussed this before,
Yeah.
you know, so that is not my goal. It needs to be sustainable and empowering and also personalized, I would say. All of those things extremely important.
Very good, very good. Now, and that's good that you do that. I as a personal trainer, see people from, or as an exercise physiologist, see people anywhere from once a month to 3 times a week, depending on if they would do it on their own. Now, you just mentioned that, you know, you want to give them wings and stuff, and that's good. Some people hate exercise so much, or don't find the time. They just don't think it's as important as it really is, especially as we age. But for those people that would not make the time to do it, you know, that's where the more often 2 to 3 times a week comes into play. And it's okay, especially for the people that are busy. I have a client who has half-hour intervals at work. He has scheduled for, as a matter of fact, it's more like 10 hours. For 10 hours, every half hour is a new client or a new meeting or new every single day. I am scheduled at a specific time, and I said, and I mentioned this every once in a while if I want to show him something new. I said, do you have a hard stop at whatever time we're starting? He says, I do. I said, you can't go a minute after. I can't. I'm done here. I've got to move on. I've got, you know, and he has a set time he goes to bed every night, and he can't go. He doesn't alter that because his schedule is so busy. He wouldn't make time to do it if we didn't schedule it.
Wow. That kind
Yeah,
of
so there are people out there.
Personality types. Sorry, go ahead. What?
That's his. That I forgot what I was going to say. I forgot. But that is very beneficial for some people. They wouldn't do it without an equipment. And what were you going to say? What were you saying?
I think that speaks to a number of different personality types, and I think Gretchen Rubin mentioned like 4 tendencies. Maybe she wrote a book about this, but the 2 that stand out to me, one is the obliger, and this is like most of my clients, and you know, to a certain extent myself. Like, think about 2nd grade, and if your teacher was like, hey, you guys get a pizza party if you read 5 books or get 5 stars, you know, like you would do it because you were, 1, being tracked, and 2, you got a reward at the end. And so obligers tend to do really well with systems like that and accountability, whereas, and I forget what the name of this type of person is, but they will just like take the information and they're like, oh, you need me to jog for 5 miles a day? They will make their own little systems and they will do it. They don't need outside accountability.
Of course.
So it could just be a personality thing too. And some of us just need a little bit more accountability, or we benefit from it than others, which again, even though I say that it is an empowerment program, I know that things change in people's lives, and there are times of more stress or more sugar, or, you know, times where they've gained more weight, gotten off their program. That's where the coaching part comes in, because we can get you right back on track versus you sitting where you are and be like, oh, well, I'll wait till January, or maybe next year will be better. Like, we can take care of it now.
Yeah, you don't have to wait. You know, we're good. We can take care of that right now. Just come on. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I think we covered a lot of like how nutrition and how personal training, exercise physiology can help a person, the difference between an exercise physiologist and a run-of-the-mill personal trainer, sure, and an RD versus a health coach, and other types of, you know, non-regulated nutrition people. Anything that you want to just like last closing statements, comments, inspiration?
You can do it.
You can do it.
No, I mean, you know, it's sometimes it can be overwhelming. You know, exercise can be overwhelming. It's about breaking it down into steps and then following those steps and consistency. That's what fitness is all about, and getting your body healthy. It's not going to, once a year is not going to cut it. Once a year for 6 weeks out of the year, I've done my exercise for the year. I'm done. That's not going to cut it. It's got to be something that's a consistent thing, and you will see results, and you'll be happy, or at least not. I don't want to say satisfied. You'll feel good about yourself. You'll feel good about yourself for doing something that is healthy for you, and you'll benefit from the effects of particularly strength training. You'll be able to move better. You'll be able to do things that you weren't able to do before. As we age, and this is where I'll end. As we age, bone density is very, very important. And what kills someone in their 70s and 80s is not necessarily their age, but if they fall and break a hip, then their health goes way down very quickly. So you want to avoid, number one, falling in the first place, and number two, healing if you fall, healing quickly if you fall, because the stronger those muscles are, the denser the bones are, the less likely they'll break. But if they do, you'll heal quicker, and your muscles are stronger than if you didn't do anything, and you'll recover faster and not die from that, hopefully. So
that's a program right there, Ken. I wrote that down as a note. I would definitely like to piggyback off of what you said. One, yes, I've heard of a friend's relative who died actually from a recent hip fracture due to a fall. And it's like, well, we have to just keep taking care of ourselves consistently, because this whole 30-day, 14, 6 weeks, etc., is not going to cut it, whether it's for bone health or weight loss or improved thyroid function or anything like that.
Right.
And I mean, the more that we can adopt it, it is a lifestyle. It's what I do every day. I mean, I'm wearing my workout clothes because I got done with the workout. I try to work out every day now, same time. And I try not to deviate from that at all, because I know a slip can become a slide so quickly. And
True.
I don't want that to even happen. Consistency will get you results. It may not happen in 14 days. It may not happen in even a month, but you will eventually get there. It's got to be the dedication, the accountability, the willpower. All of these things will come together to help us achieve our goals. So don't give up. Just be consistent. Sounds so easy, right?
Sounds so easy. Hard to do sometimes, but yes, it is. You can do it.
Yes, and we will look forward to having you all on our next what would we call these actually?
I don't know. We have to come up with that.
Movement. You will figure it out. But yes, thank you for joining us for today, and we'll look forward to talking with you soon. Bye, everyone.
Yeah, bye. Bye.